Hi there, it's me, Audrina Lane here again, reading from Only One Woman by Jane Risdon. And I just left it where she was talking about the Beatles playing and having to miss them at the Odeon. So I'm going to go straight back into this excerpt from Only One Woman. Rich mate, hi, good gig. Stefan, about tonight. A huge man of about 30 came up to us and nodded at me. Want to sort some stuff out with him. He was wearing beads and a caftan with an orange and green squiggly pattern on it, and had his ears pierced. His long black hair hung in tight curls around his shoulders. Mum would just love him. Oh, Renza, this is Psychedelic Steve, Rich said. Remember we told you about him. He's our fixer. I remembered. Apparently he was helping Stefan get Narnia's children a record deal. Everyone had to kiss up to him, I was told. Well, thankfully I don't. Psychedelic Steve dismissed me with a brief smile before turning back to Rich. Stefan's back in the smoke, mate. Got top of the pops with the White Knight, so he's got to be up for that. Rich drained his glass and put it on the floor next to him. Right, yeah, going up the charts fast. That's cool. I'll ring him tomorrow. I'll ring him later. I'm in town tomorrow and want to arrange some record company auditions for the guys. Got some label interest. Do I need to reorganise anything for the boys? Rich asked. No, I'll sort some dates out with Stefan. He'll let you know in good time. I've got some songs lined up for the guys to hear, so we'll sort some dates for visiting publishers in town too. I couldn't help wondering what Mum and Mrs. Digby would say if Psychedelic Steve turned up at the village to visit the band. I giggled quietly. Psychedelic Smith began to roll a ciggy and offered one to Rich. Rich shook his head and got to his feet. Nah, mate. Got to drive back soon or her mum will kill me if she's not home on time. Won't she, babe? Rich smiled at me and looked at his watch, then went off to round up the band. Psychedelic Smith took a few more drags and offered me one. I shook my head. I could just see me floating in the front door with Mum waiting up to look me over, make sure I hadn't been up to anything. No thanks. The Demis Roussos look-alike shrugged and headed for the kitchen. Dad would have had a blue fit if he knew I was fraternising with blokes in dresses. I knew the only reason I'd been allowed out so late with the band was because Mum quite liked Rich and he'd sweet-talked her into letting me go to the gig. God, if she could see me now, in this horrible house with everyone stoned, she'd have a migraine for a week, worrying in case the village found out. I looked at my watch. If we don't leave soon, I was going to be seriously late, and that would mean all hell breaking loose. Scott was nowhere to be seen now, and Rich was chatting to the bitch by the food. I know it is horrid calling her that, but she just got right up my nose, wallpapering herself all over Scott. People were still wrestling on the floor, which meant I had to watch where I looked. I didn't want to appear a peeping Tom, though it was hard not to cast a sly glance now and again. I mean, seriously, some were actually at it in full view. Anyone would look, wouldn't they? Thinking about it, how do you do it in public without all your bits and stuff being on show? I couldn't see anything, rude or anything, but they were definitely doing it. I just couldn't fathom how. You look deep in thought. Scott made me jump. What are you looking at? Before I could answer, he followed my gaze to the nearest couple. He threw his head back and laughed loudly. I blushed as if I'd been caught out doing something naughty. Ah, he said, I see. I felt really stupid. I could feel the heat rising up my neck to my face. Thank goodness it was so gloomy. Bit of an education, eh? He grabbed my arm and led me through to what could only be called an apology for a kitchen. Can you wait here while I get the others? We should leave now. Don't move, I won't be long. And off he went again. The room was horrid. The sink was all cracked with brown stains and the green larder door was hanging off. A few tins of baked beans and soup was all that I could see on the shelves. A dirty milk bottle was on the draining board with about a dozen teacups and spoons, all in need of a good wash. Dirty dishes were piled up next to them, some with food still on them. I screwed my face up in disgust. How could anyone live like this? An old gingham curtain hung in tatters at the filthy window, which had a crazy paving of cracks across the top. A pedal bin stood in the corner, overflowing with baked bean tins and woodbine packets. The room stank of mould and rotting food. I waited and tried not to think of what was surrounding me. Even my boots were sticking to the linoleum. What the hell was keeping Scott? Watcher. I looked around to see the bitch, as I'll always think of her standing in the doorway. She must have followed me in. Looking for Scott? Well, as you can see, he isn't in here, I said frostily. She laughed and leaned against the door jamb. Looking me up and down, she rummaged in her pink PVC bag and took a thin black cigarette out. Light, she asked, and she placed it between her full pale lips. Don't smoke, I said, and then kicked myself. I should have let her know I wasn't that cool. Too late. She laughed. What, too good to do the dreaded weed, eh? And she rummaged a bit more and came up with a box of Swan Vestas. You must do something, 'cause Scott wouldn't waste its time otherwise. She smirked and winked knowingly at me. Glared back. She had long dark hair cut like Cher's, and her eyes were deep blue, peering out from her panda black eye makeup. She had a spot of acne on her chin, and that made me feel great. The room filled with a pungent odour as she lit up and exhaled, blowing the smoke upwards. She folded her arms and continued to appraise me with an amused look on her face. The Hollies' Jennifer Eccles drifted into the room, and she tapped her foot to the beat. You're the kid from where they live now, she stated flatly. Not what I expected. I couldn't think what to say. She made me feel like a stupid school kid, and all my newly assumed sophistication was fast evaporating under her scrutiny. I shifted from one foot to the other and flicked my hair forward so that she couldn't see my face. I watched her from under my fringe. She had a smile on her face as she smoked and watched me back. Scott appeared in the doorway. He winked at the bitch. She smirked. Come on, Renza, we're off, and he held his hand out. See you soon, he said, and blew her a kiss. She pouted her full lips and blew one back with a loud smacking noise, raising her eyebrows as I passed, and whispered, I can have him any time I want. I said nothing, but my heart was in my boots and I wanted to cry. I was in way out of my depth, the sneering girl obviously enjoying my discomfort, whose relationship with Scott was too free and easy for my liking. Scott going away for weeks without even mentioning it, and this awful, gruesome house party. Just wanted to go home. Yet Mo said Scott loved me. Tried to hold that thought, but he never actually told me, not properly. Perhaps he's changed his mind now he's been out with me a few times, especially now he's seen this girl again. I wish I had the nerve to ask him, but Rich said she'd be history after tonight, so perhaps I'm just being silly. And I'd forgotten how far out in the sticks we'd gone to party with the band. Sitting in Bessie Bedford, we were encased in total darkness, with no street lamps or nearby houses to comfort me. The wind was howling across Salisbury Plain, and there was more than a spot of rain in it. Rich tried 3 times before the engine decided to kick back into life. Bessie backfired several times before he set off down the overgrown lane to the road. Although it was summer, there was a chill in the air, and Scott put his parka around my shoulders when I shivered. Won't take long, should be a clear run back, he said, as I strained to see my watch in the gloom. I snuggled into his shoulder and he squeezed me tight. I can't be later than 1, I said. Mum will kill me. Stop yakking, murmured Zack from behind the back seat where he was settled in amongst the gear. Some of us need a kip. You shut up, came the reply from the other side of the gear where Joss was propped against the wheel arch. The seat behind Scott and me was occupied by 2 girls I'd never seen before. They were already in the van when we got in, and apart from a muttered hello, hadn't said a word to anyone, though I think I heard them whispering to each other now and again. Mo sat in the front with a girl on his lap, and she looked fast asleep. I had never set eyes on her before either. Only Rich hadn't pulled. He drove in silence, chewing gum and smoking now and again. Thankfully he wound the window down when he did. My head throbbed. Everyone was tired. I had so many things to think about, to worry about, to talk to Scott about. But I couldn't do any of them right now, not in front of everyone. And I was so tired. Sleepily wondered what it would be like to be married to Scott. Not that that was ever going to happen. And closed my eyes and drifted off to sleep. I have to admit, I really enjoyed reading that excerpt. It certainly took you back to the 60s, I would definitely say. If you want to read more from that book, I will post the link to the Amazon page for that book because I've already got my copy. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to know more about Jane Risdon's taste in music and her muse for her writing, then pop it over to my Facebook page, Audrina's Place, and you'll find the whole interview there. Anyway, I've thoroughly enjoyed my reading in 2 parts from Only One Woman this evening, and I shall love you and leave you for now. So take care. Bye.